Hello, everyone, and welcome to AV Growth podcast. I'm Fanny Heinonen, Program Director of Film Tampere and also a project partner in AV Growth program. It's been wonderful 2 days of workshopping in Tampere, and now I have the pleasure to discuss our experiences during these 2 days. Why don't we start with a round of introductions, and let's start with international guests from Riga.
Hello, thanks for having us. It's been really nice 2 days. My name is Lynn Lindenberger. I'm from Riga, Latvia. I'm together with Alice, Mima Films. I'm a producer, mostly line producer or production manager. And yeah, happy to be here.
Great.
Hey, I'm Alice Rogole, EP of Mima Films, Riga. Yeah, very happy to be here.
Well, yeah, I'm a local, not from Riga. I'm Joni Lappalainen. I'm the CEO and a producer of Dreamloop Games, among some other things. And even though I missed the first day, really happy to be here on the second.
Wonderful. So this program is all about growth, and during these 2 days, we have explored strategies, we have explored team culture, and also mental and emotional tools in leadership. So, what are your thoughts and what are you thinking right now? How has the 2 days been? Of course, Joni was just this day, but Dreamloop was represented yesterday as well. What do you think? Mima's films.
Mima's. So, it's a lot of things to process. And it was very diverse, actually. Those workshops, very structured, also based on science, both, and also based on emotions and psychology. So, for the first workshop, it's very promising, and I feel very encouraged for the growth, which I'm aiming for.
Great.
Yes, I think workshop has been rich so far with diversity in people who are leading the workshops. And yeah, I think the first thing I really felt for myself, to grow, we need to understand our current state, who we are, and then we can understand where we want to get and what we need for that. Those are my first feelings, to really understand who we are in business or also as humans. And yeah, I was honestly surprised that we today worked with the emotional part, because usually when we hear business, we maybe me personally project a picture of very strict, scheduled, disciplined people, money, this and that, projects, no time to talk, no emotions, put emotions aside. But I really love to meet other people and understand that these people are people, that we are humans. And besides doing great things in our professional lives, we also feel. And yeah, so far it has been great. Get to know people in this program.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that, because maybe I didn't mention it in the beginning of this podcast, but I'm also a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, and I'm very fan of psychology. But most importantly, I'm a fan of empathy and building a connection and storytelling. So it's just for me as someone leading this project, it would just not make sense. It would not make sense to ignore those things, because what differentiates us from machines, artificial intelligence, and robots, if that's not the very essence of being human? But yeah, Joni, your general thoughts and feedback.
Yeah, and first I'm gonna actually chime in to about, as you said, that you felt like that talk about business is gonna be very like, you know, no time for individuals, no time for personalities and emotion. There's been actually some research in university, for example, negotiation situations, that if you do get the opportunity to talk with another one and find things that you have common in life, same hobbies or same way of growing, for example, same kind of family, you're 60% more likely to actually reach an agreement with the same terms than if you just start off immediately with the negotiation. So in a sense that there's a good thing always then to learn how to talk with whoever you're doing business with, but it also comes from what we really covered here today. It comes from you first. It's really being able to understand yourself so that you know how you can apply yourself into any conversations with others, even on a business side. So I'm really happy about especially for the second part of this second day here. And all in all, it's for the 50% that I was able to be present. I've been really enjoying all the open atmosphere, even though I walked basically in without knowing too many folks today. Kind of like the openness and the collaborativeness was really great with this team.
Wonderful. Great. Yeah, obviously we have a very holistic approach to growth. And so if we maybe dig into the morning session with Marko about team culture and what was the third? Team focus. Yes, I didn't have focus. I didn't have it. Thank you. So team culture and focus. What kind of key findings could you bring to the table?
Well, that's a good. I think I need a lot of time now to process key findings regarding the Marko's panel. That's a very. I really loved about those log lines of those famous movies. That was like how to find the essence to sell your idea in one sentence. And we, as a filmmakers, we work a lot on that. But he explained that so well, like emphasized the main points, that I think now I will work absolutely differently on that, how to sell my film ideas.
Well, that's quite of a drastic change.
You know, you have your inner intuition. This is a question: how much do you listen into that?
Exactly.
And that kind of workshops, they really help to like say to myself, oh yeah, actually that was inside me, and somebody brought it out. So unfortunately I need maybe not unfortunately, but luckily in that kind of workshop there is a person who can help you to get your strength out.
Absolutely. By verbalizing and kind of putting the words and visualizing even sometimes. Yeah. So for people listening to this or watching this, Marko Kulmala is the CEO of Insano, also a founder and strategic storyteller. And the point in his presentation was, in this particular part that you were referring to, was selling idea that when you are a micro entrepreneur, maybe a solo entrepreneur, don't maybe pay that much attention and time on a planning the strategy, just selling the idea. Like, go outside of your comfort zone sometimes and sell that idea. Maybe there might not be every single door opening for you and for your idea, but just sell it. And I think it was very kind of, how you say, insightful moment what we had in the end when I asked about when did you left something undone because you didn't have the courage. And I asked that, have you left that selling undone? And it was like full room of people raising their hand. So we can spend hours, days, years planning. I'm not ignoring the importance of writing down your strategy and actually planning what you're doing here. But if you never actually act on it, what are we doing here?
It's kind of like running the marathon and then just stop like 10 meters from the goal line. It's
Yes.
You did all your homework. You're ready to go, and then you see the opportunity to do the last sprint, and you're just like, nah, I'm done. Like too scared to go over the finish line. But also for the morning session, I really liked when we were talking about the culture and the team, and it really brings out the fact that you have to understand your biases. You have to know who you're talking to. You need to know who are you as the person who is talking, because there is gonna be at some times there's gonna be quite massive bridge in between your and the other person's understanding.
Definitely. And for some reason, there was none of us representing Netflix executive department for some reason. That was, I don't know, I thought that there would be one, but Marco did the asking round and we didn't have any, so.
What also reminded me, listening to Marco, was one of my first therapy sessions. And there's this structure of having a thought, then emotion, and then action. And that kind of clicked what the invisible part of doing things. Mm-hmm. And this thought and emotion is creating this or motivation. And then, yeah, the action is the only thing probably others see mostly. But maybe if we structurize well who we are and what we want to reach, then we also can better spread our motivation and people can grasp that and we can find people to connect better.
Definitely. And what resonated with me especially was when Marco said that artist is the one who sees the invisible. So I think
it's kind of their job when you think about it.
Exactly.
We all rest of us need to see their illustration of the invisible.
Exactly. So it's so obvious, but at the same time, sometimes you need someone to really project that onto the wall and really put it in your face, like this is your job. And I didn't mention in the afternoon session. When one of our participants raised this struggle and fogginess and not seeing clear enough, and that is somehow keeping him from actually acting and doing, because it's so blurred. The future looks like a chaotic and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't want to address it, but I'm going to share it here. That actually what was ignored there, that is the possibility. You are living on invisible platform in that sense, and you are the artist. So why don't you take advantage of that? But of course, because it wasn't a coaching session, I didn't do that. But if it was a coaching session, that would be my direction, that you're sitting on a bunch of money, basically, if you want to say it that way. Because idea and the invisible is the thing that's our tool, I think.
I guess so too. At that session, I was on that first round. I was also taking part, and I thought that I was maybe too positive for the crowd I was with. I'm like, okay, I see chaos maybe or changes as a good thing and as a business opportunity. And what could I learn from these changes? And Yeah, I think it's a mindset. It's a thing of mindset. Change is good for my perspective. I see that as an opportunity. Maybe it's a new wave of thinking. I hope. But,
sure.
Yeah, change is good. That's how I would like to see. It's not comfortable for sure.
Yeah, but it's you do the definition on that, like whether it's a good or bad.
I gotta say to
Please.
that radical listening exercise that we did. A pain for me. Like I'm the if you know the color coding of like personalities and stuff like that. I'm red as heck, and it
You're the
means
reddest red.
yeah, I'm like, even though my hair is blue, I'm the reddest red. It's such a struggle for me to listen to another person more than 15 seconds without starting to like having already a dialogue inside my head. Like, oh, I gotta tell them this. Oh, I gotta tell them this. I gotta suggest them this kind of thing. And then just listening there without like engaging myself into that, it was really. I wouldn't say therapeutical because it was literally a pain to be like no, just focus on listening, and don't bring.
Can't save him.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It played out then. That was the point, to be conscious of your bias and urgencies and so on. So about your companies, we did the preliminary interview with each of your companies, and we then asked about these indicators that we are going to follow and track throughout the program. So if I may ask, let's start from Mimas. Which indicator did you pick at that time when you were interviewed?
You mean the indicator which...
The growth indicator, yeah, like business revenue and et cetera, et cetera.
So, yeah... yesterday, Hannah was putting this ladder, of growth and
In the maturity ladders.
Yeah. So I think it's a complex. We're not talking only about revenue. It's more about the challenging and bigger projects for us, more international, where international crews are involved from different countries. This is what we are aiming for, and to create a community itself in Baltic countries. And
so could that be like an expansion to a new market? If you say like international relations, so it's pretty much...
It's absolutely like that, but all changes start at home. So we need also to change our environment in Latvia, how we approach to things, how we also collaborate with our government as well. There is a difference between generations of producers as well. So we are young and emerging, we will always be like that. But the thing is that about the way of thinking, just to change that we are all together. We are colleagues, firstly, then we are competitors. Yeah, this is the thing. But regarding our company itself, it's there are way easier ways how to earn a good money. So movie making is more about passion. Still, the revenue is also very important. But it's the secondary thing because we enjoy the process. So I think during these 3 years, I can say about myself, but I think that Linda would agree that we would aim for larger scale projects, which also challenge our producer professionalism. Yes, so it's not only like co-productions in Baltics, but it's also broader market. Also collaborating with the Asian market as well, and to try.
Before I turn to Joni, I gotta ask to give understanding of your business model. Are you focusing on services or IPR, or do you have this beautiful blend of doing both somehow? Or can you describe that a little bit so that the listeners get an understanding?
So yes, the one thing which are we doing now is more production services and co-production, and we are still doing commercials and movies as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible to do that, and then we are now aiming to start to do something absolutely new, which tomorrow we will start to do the strategy. So I don't want just to blurt in podcast something like it will be like that, and I don't understand what. So we are aiming to create new products also where the filmmaking is involved.
I want to add one thing about the revenue. What would be a nice aim, a goal, if my country, Latvia. Well, if people from different countries, from foreign clients, would see Latvia as trustworthy country where to realize their projects, that there are no stigma that maybe we are not developed enough or not experienced, or we cannot do this or that. That would be a great goal to achieve. That Latvia is a trustworthy country where to do a great production.
Brand recognition, what I'm hearing, pretty much. Joni, about Dreamloop, what kind of indicator did you set in the beginning, and what are your thoughts now about it?
Just before I get to the indicator, I just have to again reflect on previous comments, because it immediately hit me in the heart hearing again from the movie side the word competition, because in gaming side, not a single game studio is a competition to another game studio. It's like the rising tide shifts all boats, is the saying. And it's like my competition as a game studio is not the other game studios. It's going to the gym, watching TikTok or Netflix. It's like all those bad habits that people have when they're not playing games, right?
Eyeballs, basically.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's because of the filmmaking and game making. It's more like the nationality thing. Yeah, this is the thing why I'm emphasizing the competition.
Yeah, and in Finland, my understanding on the movie industry is as well that they are not as open as game studios are in terms of sharing everything, even from people resources and such. And I would love to see that more. Game industry is great on that, and we hope to always give the gospel. Now to answer Fanny's question, finally, we selected the one about product, right? To build our first transmedia project together with the movie studio, and that's definitely something that is very relevant for us right now. We were able to do our revenue growth just before this. We grew 178% last year.
Huge.
So we now in a a stabilizing phase. Let's stabilize ourselves to this situation before we start to do another growth spurt. So in a sense, now we look at the products that we're doing, be it on service. But for this case, it's definitely our product for this collaboration of a game studio and a film studio to make for me, it's to make the game product.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And you're kind of building and producing variety to your portfolio in that sense. And of course, that comes to branding as well, because when you operate more in that market, I think that it will come to that situation where whether it's a game studio or a distribution company in the film and television, they lean to you because you have the expertise and you already have the blueprint, because we don't have the blueprint already there. How to simultaneously make an IP actually and capitalize the IP in film and game, or TV series or game simultaneously, and especially on the independent side. Like Marvel has a bunch of money, Pixar has a bunch of money, like those big studios have a bunch of money. They probably have some answers to that, but I mean the independent side, which we are representing all, this AV growth is specifically for independent companies and not major companies. So there's no blueprint for that. So that's a great thing to have on board. So yeah, we're talking about market expansion and product expansion. Is there something specific you look for from the next workshop that we're going to have in Sweden? It's about IPR, just to remind you of the topic. So content is the king, isn't it?
I think not yet. To be honest, no, I'm not.
It was so packed. These 2 days were always so packed that there's no that much to squeeze
like,
off.
I would say like surprise me. Like this is the thing.
Okay, we can do that.
I'm very open-minded. Like I'm very open to everything. So I don't want like to. Oh, that would be great to have this or this. No, it's like.
I'm looking forward to meet the people, companies. We were working together these days. It was such a pleasure to meet these people, and I'm excited about everyone who is participating in this program because it's a wonderful chance, and of course. Each company seeks for something different, and every one of us personally seeks for something different, and we just some things, some phrases, some mottos just sticks to us, and maybe just one sentence can change next few months. So it would be great to catch up with everyone and see how's it going, what they processed after this workshop, including myself, to organize all these notes. And I'm looking forward to that. And it has been a pleasure, really.
Joni, how about you and Dreamloop?
I mean, honestly, it sounds that it's going to be in January, so I'm going to be looking for the opportunity to escape the coldness of Finland of that time.
Okay, that's motivation there.
It's now still a lot more south on comparison. Now, but joking aside, I'm really looking forward to. You can never really get enough viewpoints when it comes to IPR, because every time that you think that you really got it nailed down, someone asks you a question, you be like, okay, didn't think about that. So it's gonna probably be a really good learning spot, and I would love to meet everyone again, because other than mentioned like 3 times now, because I missed yesterday, I kind of feel like I was left out in some ways.
Aww.
And I want to be making everyone saying that everyone being like so nice and friendly, and I'm like, oh shit, I should have been here yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm swearing the mic, but it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. Is like this little group that we are forming, this little almost 30 people group, and really looking forward to that.
Great. So what I'm hearing as the key findings, we have many. Like, just start with the selling. Don't confuse yourself with the strategy planning. However, do the strategy. Network is the key. Don't assume anything and be open to the next chapter. And maybe, on Dreamloop side, it was quite obvious your indicator and what you're working on. Maybe Mimas, you do another round with really defining the indicator, because I know a little bit about your, I will say, innovation. Let's not spill the tea here. So I would encourage you to think about that and look at the indicators one more time, because then it will make sense. And after doing that, like, truly think about that. Are we heading to the direction of services or actually IPR and licensing? Just like
Yeah, this is the thing. That's why we are staying one day longer, actually. So we will have our
Tamper will give you the answers.
One-to-one meeting about that. About that, yes, because I think we feel like we came out of the war zone because last week we just finished a very difficult shooting. So we
I'm happy and I'm sorry.
Yeah, and now we are alive and we are here and it's like running. So we will have a chance to stop. There will be no cause to escape our meeting. So yeah, that's our goal tomorrow, to work together.
Yes, and figure that out.
I want to add on this because the other idea we keep a secret for now. Maybe next workshop. It was something I have kept in myself and never put on the paper. And once I put on the paper and shared with Alice, she's like, "This is awesome. Let's do it." I'm like, seriously? Okay. And yeah, I'm happy we will have our time to really discuss with the new information we got and put your things, ideas on paper and talk with other people.
Write them down. If they are not visible, if they're not written down, you can't lead them. They just don't exist. I'm a true believer for that. We have this biased thinking that when it's in your head, when you go out with your dog and you have this thought loop, so you think, I got it, everything here. But then you have a team. The team cannot actually have a single understanding of what is going on in your head. And before we are wrapping this podcast, let's talk a little bit about team, as team was also one of the main teams today. Wow, hard words in a row. So let's start with Dreamloop, as I know that you are more people in the house than in Mimas. What are your thoughts, Joni?
I mean, first and foremost, Dreamloop is like 30 people on a never-ending payroll. Never-ending story, but you get salary for it. But the thing is, I think honestly, as a game studio, we literally don't have anything if we don't have our people. Like, you might even have an IP, you might have, of course, all of the hardware and such, but even the IP is useless if it doesn't have the people who, made it happen. No one can just pick up an IP and be able to run with it. So I think, I always think that the team is everything that we literally have. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis on our team. We take everything from having one-on-one meetings with them every 4 weeks. We give them a metric ton of benefits, from everything to lunch, to culture, to free therapy, to travel and accident insurances and everything. Because if I don't have the team, if everyone would just message me on Slack that they are quitting, I would be like, no, there's nothing for the company to do. And I still, at the same time, I have to say that we've been able to be getting into a situation that we're soon 10 years old. We have had 6 people resigning from the company, with 5 people coming back because they went and tried it somewhere else and wanted to come back. So on that front, I also think that our team has been able to keep our team.
And to touch on that, we also were listening to Terry Bujard in the morning of the first workshop, and there is one of the founders of Media Deals. So he deals with creative industry financing and have quite of a track record in that. And what he said from an investor's perspective, he said that it all comes down to a team. It all comes down to a team. That's what investors, business angels, family offices, no matter what, that's what they look after and that's what they want. So I think that was just spot on that you underlined the importance. Please, Linda.
I think to have a team is also one way of maturing, because you are mature enough to trust other people, let go of your controlling, like I need to do everything because I can do everything perfect, but then you find the key people who can really help you grow. Everyone grows together, and yeah, it's some way of letting go of control, and yeah, and you give opportunity to other, and yeah.
Oh, I highly suggest hiring an assistant the moment that you can, because it's a great crash course of giving up control of your social accounts, your emails and calendar, but you get a lot of free headspace in return.
I couldn't agree more with some, just everybody can't afford. But yeah, definitely, yeah. Alice, actually, I wanna ask you regarding team. Marco said in his presentation about this Messi metaphor that Messi studies other teams, and you also mentioned in this podcast about the competition that Joni also commented. Do you observe, study, or somehow try to get understanding from other teams, or is that your approach? Do you study other teams?
I think it's it's a must-have actually to understand what is happening in other teams, and it's also like to see more successful teams. This is how you learn, like you are learning from them, from their success stories. So then if you study their teams, you can also aim for that and think about your company structure. As we are a very small country, our teams are mostly based on projects. So we select freelancers mostly. This is what we are doing. But as we are not so many, we are doing this. We are picking mostly the same people, though we are also trying now. What we are doing, we are giving opportunities to young future producers, to students as well, like to come on board and to find their strongest and weakest parts in their future profession. This is what we had in our latest project. We got a bunch of students, so we split them in different departments and testing them. And I think it's also very important not only to take a look on other production company teams, but also to educate young generation as well, and to create your own by new talents.
Yeah, it sounds like Mimas wants to have an impact on the domestic industry, at least, like what you're doing. That sounds like a socially sustainable approach, and what you said about changing the mindset between the generations and so on. Unfortunately, it's a little bit off the road from our program, but I mean, let's make Latvia great again. That's also possible.
No, but that kind of workshop also, this is what we are here for. It's also like the inspiration. Like maybe we will use this maybe in our personal lives as well. Of course. I know, like all the knowledge is very important.
I don't know. Feel free to invite me to talk in any like leadership or business education in Latvia. I will happy to fly over and help you guys.
And here we are networking. Here we are networking. Don't you have the film festival just behind the corner in Latvia?
Yes, I think it's October.
I was invited. So if I for some reason cannot attend, I know who to pass the ticket to. Exactly. It's been wonderful talk. Do you feel like there's anything you want to add or say or address after these 2 very intense but also exciting days in Tampere?
I must say that I have been participating in different networking workshops especially for filmmaking producers in Cannes, in Locarno, in Berlin as well. and this is something totally different in a and it's in a very positive way. So I really love this original and interesting approach. That it's you usually in the movie festivals it's like the same structure of the workshops. And this is like going deeply personally as well. So yeah, thank you for a new experience.
Good. And just to squeeze in, we are only focusing on companies and business in this program. So that's maybe the biggest differentiation between these different workshops that you refer to, like Locarno and Can and everything, which are great, but producers go with the slate or with the production and they develop that. But this is for the company. So now let's put the creative leaders to actually think about their companies and think about the growth and think about how they actually make sense, because now the industry is just interesting, I will leave it that way. So Linda, anything to add?
Not much. I'm looking forward. I think maybe delete this. I think these types of events definitely what I gained for myself was that more confidence.
Good.
I love network. I still love people. Love meeting new people.
And good people. I mean,
yes.
We're good people.
And educational wise, I think it was a big pack of data we need to still process. So definitely great experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it just came to my mind. Like it's one thing that is not often enough talked about is the fact that the company grows only when its leaders grow. Mm-hmm. That the company is stagnant the moment that the leaders become stagnant, and the company can only follow its leaders' footsteps. And then I think that is especially something that I've seen, like here as we're talking about AV growth. It is growing the companies with the captains first. Mm.
Yeah, changing the mindset.
Beautiful.
For us as well.
I think that was so perfectly put. I don't want to add anything else. I thank you, Joni and ladies. It was wonderful talk, and see you in Sweden at least, and with Joni maybe for a lunch very soon. Thank you. Great. I enjoyed.
Thank you.
Thank you.